Welcome everyone to the daily market recap. Today is 2nd of October 2024 and it's Wednesday. So before we begin our market analysis, like always, I touch on a couple of concepts whenever I do market analysis, and those are previous day high, previous day low, the candle formation, that is your open high low close and open low high close. I look into the concept of power of 3. I focus on the times, look into the fair value gaps, SMT, and use standard deviation to mark profit targets. Okay, so let's start with the weekly chart. Now we are at an interesting place this week. So you can see last week we tapped into this weekly SIBI or sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency. We just passed the mean threshold of this fair value gap, and then this week we are starting to move lower. The reason I say that we are in an interesting place because we are right in the middle of a bullish fair value gap or a BISI, and you can see that we have almost balanced out this imbalance. So if we are truly bullish, I really want price to see expanding higher and not going lower from here. So next week we can see, and that way we can make a better judgment as to where price is planning to go next, if we are planning to target these highs or the recent swing low. Let's go down to the daily chart. And in the daily chart, we can see that we made a large move on Tuesday. And you can see on Tuesday, we closed below Monday's low. And that is why going into Wednesday, that is today, I was expecting price to expand lower, which we did, but then we closed bullish. And this candle, the down close candle that you are seeing right now, this is tomorrow's candle, which is currently in formation. Let's go down to the 4-hour chart. So if you remember from last week, we had marked this 4-hour order block, and I was expecting price to tap into this order block, respect the mean threshold of this order block, and if price is truly bullish, then continue upwards. But you can see that price tapped into this order block once, it did tap twice, just hit the mean threshold here, expanded higher again, but then you can see that we are forming lower highs, and then we had a large move to the downside, and now this order block became a breaker block. Now we are trying to tap into this breaker block, and the price is heading lower. So if you look at this candle, it's kind of like a doji candle, you can say that. This is your 6 a.m. 4-hour candle, and the candle next to it is the 2 a.m. 4-hour candle. Now this is an interesting thing, and I always focus on that. So when a candle like a 6 a.m. 4-hour candle, when it takes 2 a.m. candles high as well as low, that is one of the indications that the price might be ranging sideways today. So we might not see like large expansion to one side or other, like upside or downside. The another portion that I was focusing on is whether the 6 a.m. candle closed above the high of 2 a.m. candle, or did it close below the low of the 2 a.m. candle. In this situation, it did not do anything, so I was expecting price to expand higher on the 10 a.m. candle because it failed to close below the low of the 2 a.m. 4-hour candle. So that was my bias going into 10 a.m. Now let's go to the 15-minute chart to take a granular look at what happened today. So let's start with the daily market open, that is 6 p.m., you can see the price started moving lower. It went high and then it started moving lower again. But if you can see that the price was kind of like chopping, right? So what I like to do is I try to focus on how price move between midnight and 4 a.m. as well as daily open to midnight. So looking at daily open to midnight, this was the swing high that I can say that we have formed. So if we consider this to be a clear manipulation, then I want the price to at least reach 2 to 2.5 standard deviation. And you can see that aligns perfectly with the previous day low. So I wanted to see this area getting tapped, and then we can see if the price closes aggressively below minus 2.5 standard deviation, then we can think about going to minus 4, or else we might get a reversal as well. So we saw that price started moving sideways, and right around 9:30 we saw a strong push to the downside. We tapped into minus 2 and started expanding higher. So even though we had this fair value gap here, we tapped once, we made a large move, but I typically do not take trades before 10 a.m. because I really wanted to see like how price reacts at 10 a.m. because every candle, if you look at the concept of power of 3, every candle has to create a wick. So if we plan on being bearish for the day, then I would like to see the initial minutes to make a manipulation move higher, forming that wick of the candle to start expanding lower. So after like 6 a.m. 4-hour candle closed, I wanted to see price move higher. So for that to happen, I wanted to see essentially a manipulation lower. So once we touch the minus 2 to 2.5, I moved to 5 minute and I was trying to see if we can get a manipulation lower for price to move higher, since we have already tapped into minus 2.5. However, you can see here that we did not get a clear area for entry. There was one where I saw this is a zone where you can see that you have an imbalance if you look at the larger candles there, but it's not clear, and I wouldn't take it because the price did chop around here a lot more. And even though this was an order block that was formed, it wasn't clear. So even the fair value gap is, in a traditional sense, is not a fair value gap. So that is why today's market, since we are into the NFP and we are heading into NFP week, I was not expecting much opportunities anyways, but this was one of the days where I personally did not see any opportunities. Depending on how you consider your fair value gaps, like you can see that there was a fair value gap here that was present, which is your CB, 5-minute CB, and then we inversed the 5-minute CB, and some people do try to take or consider this as a very potential area for entry, and you can see that it has tapped multiple times, but the price was just going sideways. And if you look at the 4-hour chart, the one that I was talking about, you could see that the 2 a.m. candles high as well as 2 a.m. candles low was taken at the 6 a.m. 4-hour candle, and that is one of the clear indications that probably the market is going to be sideways. Also, after a large expansion day, always expect a sideways move. So it was an interesting day nonetheless, but I did not see any opportunities to trade today. So we'll see how price moves tomorrow. I'm expecting tomorrow again to be a little bit lethargic price action, and we'll see a large expansion probably after the NFP news on Friday. All right, that was it for today. If you have any questions, do let me know, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you. Take it easy. Bye.